Alrighty, welcome in Play-by-Play podcast. We've gone virtual for the boys. Boys, it's been a minute. Jordan Hughes alongside Tyler Campbell and Jordan Lanack. Thanks for jumping on. How are we?
Good, mate. If you'll actually address me by my name that's written on the bottom of my screen, that's probably going to be a little bit more.
I only know one king, and it's not you.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
TC?
No, I've been good.
Yeah, we all do literally jobs that are different hours of the day, which makes it a bit hard.
Yeah, you're a bit nocturnal, you weirdo.
Well, no, we work normal
I'm
hours,
the
you don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Mate, let's do a podcast at 9 p.m. Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. We've got to go to work the next day.
Well, we did it for like 3 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's when none of us had anything going on in our lives.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of, Jordy, you got your new job. How's that going? You started now?
Yeah. No, it's been good. Been there about a month now, so just picking up sort of caseload and getting the hang of it. But no, I'm enjoying it. It's good to be a real adult.
My second favourite physio.
TC. And TC, how's the physio for you? How's the Achilles?
Yeah, it's getting there. Came out of the moon boot after 102 days last week. So back walking around on 2 feet, which is a bit of a switch up. But no, just slowly progressing now and just working to get that strength back up and hopefully be running in the next, 2 months would be the goal. And yeah, bit of a grind at the moment. Nothing fun going on in the gym. Just a million calf raises and a couple of isos.
So we chance for 2027 to run it back? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, look, I think it's definitely on the cards. I think that's the way I'm leaning towards, and I'm going to rehab regardless, as if I am going to play. And I think part of me wants to go out on my own terms, not on an injury, and want to work to that 100 caps for Bond as well. So tough watching the boys go down this year, but hoping I can get back in there next year and help bolster us back up.
What cap number? I mean, how many caps have you got so far?
I don't know. I think I'm in the 80s. Pretty close to a full season will get me near 100.
Yeah, all right, that's exciting. Speaking of, let's talk about some club rugby, boys. We saw the semi-finals on the weekend. First, we'll start with Brothers and Norths. What do you make of that?
I was excited to see. I think out of the 2 games, I was the most excited to see that one.
Yeah.
I think I was at work, so I couldn't get to watch the whole thing, but I kept tuning in bits and pieces, and I think I watched the first sort of few minutes and then turned it off and turned it back on, and it was still like a really tight sort of contest. And then, brothers obviously did what brothers do and they ran away with it, but I think like full credit has to kind of go to the Eagles.
Mate, they had their chances for sure.
Yeah, and just like I think from where they've been, like even this season as a whole, where they've been in the last sort of 20 years or whatever it was. I think it was 30 years, 30-something years
34
since
years
the last
since
time.
finals, yeah.
Yeah. So for them to get to that position, it's unreal. It was sick.
Yeah, I reckon firstly just here's a huge shout out and best of luck recovery for old Harry Langbridge. He's been the heart of soul in North, so one of those guys that sort of has stuck around with that club over the last sort of 5 seasons and helped sort of shift that culture. So to see him go down in the first sort of 5 minutes with a dislocated ankle, I think it was, and a syndesmosis and some other things. I know he goes into an op this week. Pretty unfortunate, and I actually, I felt for him as someone else who's going through the injury scares at the moment. I couldn't think of anything worse doing it after all the years he's put into that club to get them to their first finals series. So hearts with him, and I wish him all the best as he sort of starts his recovery journey. But on the game, I just think it's pretty hard to go past brothers. They're just a champion team. They got ahead to that 33-8 and they took their opportunities when they arose. They were clinical and for most of that game, and when they made a break, they made sure to finish. And I thought Brad Himmelpaul, again, outstanding. I think if he doesn't get Alec Evans this year, I'd be very surprised. I think he's been the best in the comp throughout the year, and I think he showed it again on the weekend, how like his class. He's just everywhere. Scored a try, made a couple of breaks, and then, he had his hand in everything. So I think he was the big difference. But great fight back from Norths to sort of bring it back to that 33-25.
Yeah, it was close in the end. Obviously, of course, North's get another chance now to go again. But West and East, boys, on Sunday afternoon, it was 12 all at half time, and then West just kicked away.
I thought the ref let quite a lot go in this game, to be fair. A lot of bodies flying around, and I think West, they're just their counter-attack. I think key moment for them, the McLaughlin Phillips try, the charge down. think it was sort of a bit of a tug of war at that point, and that sort of flipped the game and put a lot more pressure on East to score. And I know East will be pretty gutted with their first half. I think they had majority of the ball. They attacked West line for I don't know how long. Had a few mauls that didn't go their way, and that's normally their bread and butter. And I think not coming away with that point gave West the belief. I think they could have easily been up 3 or 4 tries at the half, but just sort of let that one slip away. And then we saw how the second half played out. West just had too much firepower, especially out wide, and managed to run away with it.
Geordie, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think TC summed it up pretty well. The West squad is just a beast in its own right, and if you let them sort of get going, like we've all seen what they can do, and I think we've probably all been on the receiving end of what they can do at some point throughout time.
When they're on.
No, I was actually talking to Elvie last week after the Bond West game, and I think he's been copping a bit of flack from some West people about maybe underperforming over the last sort of few years, which I think is really tough considering they've actually gone through near enough to the end for the last sort of 4 or 5 years consecutively. So from a personal note, I'm glad to see him kind of get to that position again and hopefully sort of prove that he is worth it. But at the same time, I think we all hate West, so it's a bit of a bittersweet one. But yeah, I think that game, as TC said, it probably could have gone either way, and the ref probably had a bit too much in it for my liking. But yeah, we'll see. I think this is finals footy, and every year we get to this point, and people say that finals footy is a whole different competition, and it's round 1 through that, and we've already seen it. So yeah, excited to see what's going to happen.
The annoying thing is, I guess, for Bond's point of view, TC, like if you guys beat West, then you had a good run or a good chance to make it back to the grand final, from my point of view.
Yeah, but at the same time, it probably never should have come down to that West game. I think we lost 5 games, by less than 5 points. And if you consider the East beat us on the hooter, Jeeps beat us on the hooter with a rolling maul. Norths, we've dropped the ball in the 22 going for the win. West, the first time round, dropped the ball going for the win. So, we're our own worst enemy, and it sort of came back to bite us. If we win one of those games, we're in finals. So I guess it's good lessons learnt. We had probably a younger squad than what we had last year, and it just shows that you can't sort of switch off and let games slip away from you. So, look, I would love to have seen the boys out there over the next couple of weeks, but at the same time, we just got to take this opportunity to learn from this season and hopefully keep a core part of our squad going into next year and can sort of capitalise on those early games to help us be there when it counts.
So maybe we're back some old heads.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Are you coming out of retirement or something, mate?
Said nothing.
Is Marnie mustn't be home. Is Marnie at work?
She's sitting right there and she can't hear what's going on. So
I love it. Boys, West v North this weekend. Who wins?
It's a tough one. I think West.
I think West's. Yeah, I think just. Yeah, I think that North had a bit of wind taken out of their sails, and I think West have probably got that wind. And yeah, it'd be a good game, but I think West.
I think Norths have the potential to do it. I think the hard part for me is losing your 10, who's been very instrumental in what your club's about, and you have your game plan based around his ability to sort of change tempo and his attacking range of footy to switch into a younger 10 that doesn't have much first grade experience. It's going to have a lot of big bodies coming down his traffic with, Villakessa back out there and a few of those other Fijian boys, especially in their back row. I think it's a big challenge for him, and I just think West having McLaughlin Phillips at 10 versus a young 10's a big difference there, and I think that's where the game's going to be ultimately won or lost. His ability to sort of, was it Mooney, the young kid?
Yeah.
His ability to sort of come into that game and own it after not playing much footy in first grade this year, I think is going to be the difference. And I'd hope he does well. I'd love to see a young kid have a fairy tale story on the back of what's already been a fairy tale year for Norths. But I just think McLaughlin Phillips' class might shine through here and give West the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brothers North final, wouldn't that be something special? I saw the North Tunnel on Yoku. They were just everywhere. It was so good to see.
Mate, they're such a good club. I've said it a few times in after-match speeches. You know, regardless of where they've been the last, I guess, 20 years, they always show up. They always show out, and they always get around their teams. And you don't really see too many people leaving the club. You see a lot of people go there and stay there regardless of performances, and I think that's a testament to the culture they have around the club, and I think it's awesome to see that now translating onto the field. So, you know, I wish them all the best this week, and I'd love to see them in that grand final, and I think they'd get a massive crowd if then a lot of support. You know, anyone but Brothers seems to be the way the QPR operates sometimes. So I'd love to see them out there, but I guess this weekend will tell.
We'll see. Let's get into some news, boys. But before we do that, I've got a sponsor come on board onto the potty. Our good mates at GC Tree Solutions, boys. So footy season may be coming to an end, but storm season is fast approaching. GC Tree Solutions is here to tackle any tree or any palm that may threaten your property. So call GC Tree Solutions today for your free consultation and quote. Check them out on socials. Doing good things, supporting the potty, boys.
There we go, mate. How long have you been practicing saying the old ad?
Well, I got it sent to me today, so it's a sort of a trial. We'll see how we go with the boys. So, but they're keen to come on board. So
got the radio voice in the head for it too.
Yeah, let's get some caps made up.
Mate, all for it.
I'll wear a hat, mate. Media Vintage. What is it called? What's the place called again?
I'm gonna get some made. Gonna get some made for the boys.
Awesome.
Anyway, so check out them on socials. Boys, Michael Checker. Back at the Waratahs, looking likely. Thoughts and opinion. I'll start with you, Geordie Lanack.
Is it
I
2015?
reckon it's good, eh? Like I saw it in the news today, I think it was, and look, I wasn't surprised. I kind of had a feeling that was going to go full circle at some point. But I think from where the Waratahs have kind of been this year, and probably in the last year or two as well, like I think he could actually do really good. Like I feel like they have a really good group. They have a group of players that would respond to that sort of coaching style, and I think just a little bit of maybe tough love and some of that checker sort of attitude would probably do him quite good. So if it comes to fruition and he ends up back there, I think the Tars could be a bit of a force to be reckoned with, I reckon.
TC?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I said, it's flashbacks to 2015. Now you got Phipps, Foley, and Checker back on board. Look, he's obviously a proven coach. At the end of the day, people can say, "Oh, you're going back in time," but at the same time, he's a coach. It's not like he's going out there on the field to play. And I think with his experience he's been to Argentina. Is that right? Where was Checker coaching last? It was Argentina. Yeah, he's with the Roosters at the moment. I just think with the experience he's picked up, he's only going to be a better coach for it. And I think something needs to happen at the Tars. We've sat here and discussed it. There's always plenty of talent, but there isn't plenty of results on the board. So if he can go around and change that culture and bring something to the Tars, I think it would be good for Aussie rugby, because when the Tars are strong, normally the Wallabies are strong. So another thing you wish him all the best for, but I think the tough thing for him is how long he's going to be in that saddle, because they've had some quality coaches over the last 3 years that I just don't think they've given enough time for them to develop the team the way they want. I think we had Coleman for 2 years, we've had McKellar for 2 years, and now we've gone to Checker, so it's their third coach in less than half a decade. So interesting to see how it goes.
Didn't they have Rob Penny as well in that stint?
I think Rob Penny was before them again.
Yeah, right. So it's been a nightmare.
Yeah, because I think it was the Coleman. It might have been Penny, Coleman, McKellar, Checker. So hopefully they stay loyal to him and give him a chance.
After the dust has settled a bit, the whole Foley Phipps thing, do we hate this, or what do you think?
Look, I don't hate it. I've always stood on the fact that I think having older heads in your squad can really help bring the development of the younger guys coming through. What I do hate, though, is if they let go a lot of their young guys, especially in the 10 position. Lawson Crichton's gone. Jack Bowen's now gone. They brought in Max Bury, who I think someone to keep an eye out for. I've heard whispers of Pellegrini going there, possibly. So which looks more likely now because there was talks about the Landers as well, but with Josh Jacob going down to the Landers, I think he'll look for somewhere where he might be able to compete for a starting spot. But yeah, I just think letting go the young players and bringing in the old heads doesn't look good unless they've got a good amount of young talent still coming through.
Geordie, can you see the Tars making a run next year? Something?
Look, they can make a run. I don't think they'll make the run. Like, I think they could be more impressive than what they were this year, but also that's probably not much of a statement.
Mm.
But yeah, I think just to back up on what TC was just saying, like they've almost like I really like the idea of the old crew back together, but they've done it back to front. Like as TC just said, they should have done that a year ago, given these young fellas some direction, and then sort of reassess where they're at. So I don't really know what their master plans are, but I think it's good that they're all back there, but I would be also disheartened if it gets to the situation where they just kind of fall back into their old ways and they just sort of lean on those old heads and it just kind of all looks a little bit stagnant.
Like, are you thinking round one we're seeing Phipps Foley as their 9-10? Or was not? Is that the plan?
Oh,
No,
I hope not.
I think, Jake Gordon will...
That's exactly what I'm saying. I hope not.
Possibly we might see Foley. I think it would be very hard on Teddy Wilson if Nick Phipps gets that first nod. I think Nick Phipps is definitely more in there in a mentor role. Because Jake Gordon, I don't know what his recovery. I think he did his Achilles around the same time I did. So he'll be pretty close to round one, to be fair. So I think there's still going to be a bit of depth in that 9 position, but the 10 position, it's either Foley or Max Bury at the moment. I don't know who the young 10 is coming through. I know the Oz 20s had Finn Mackay, who's a Queensland bloke who's signed by the Reds. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think Foley could get the nod.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. But I think Checker's probably the best man to bring that all together. So time will tell. Other big news today, boys. The Pritchard boys. They're signing on officially now.
Shout out to the Reds media team.
Yeah, well, Ant and the boys, they do a good job.
That's just a great way of, he probably is the future of the Reds, and there's a lot of hype around him, a lot of people looking at him poaching wise, and it's just a great way to announce a signing, something a little bit different than the old. Here's a photo of him when he was playing 6 months ago, and just put the little extend thing to it, little chat GPT graphic, but to do something different and have a bit of a photo shoot, and you get a reel and quite a crack up picture of him on the couch chucking the ball up. Just think it's an awesome way to sort of promote the game and give us something different in that regards. There you go, look at Geordie showing us. I just think it's a cool concept.
I agree. Yeah, spot on. They've done a good job. And to be fair, he could be our man. Like, he is exceptional.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think his best position moving forward is going to be fullback. I know there's talks about him being a 12. I don't know if he's big enough to be a test level 12. I know everyone talks about having smaller 12s back in the day, like Matt Ghetto, etc. But I think the day of a small 12's sort of gone out the window with how defence and everything's played. But I think as a fullback, I think he can be absolutely lethal with his footwork. He's got quite a good kicking game on him too, and I think in a couple of years he'll be knocking on the door. He could possibly be a bolter for next year's World Cup as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think part of that deal too is the Olympic sevens. So I reckon he wants to do that. So no doubt he'll carp up in sevens.
Is that inside knowledge or an assumption?
Just people, mate, in the know. All right, boys. Another one on the women's side of things. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but Maddie Levi's going to play for Wallaroos on Sunday. Which is 13 potentially, which is good to see.
Think she's coming off the bench. Was the initial plan?
Yeah.
I talked to her probably 2 weeks before the actual squad was announced because she got asked about it and she asked me personally how she'd go, and I was like, you'd be fine, mate. We're already seeing what your sister's doing in league. It's a big ask to learn the game in 2 weeks, but she's such a freak athlete, and she's gone up against a lot of these girls that are in the NZ side in sevens, and I think athletic-wise, speed, strength, power and general skills, she probably matches them, and if she can get her head around the game pretty quickly, then I think she'll do well. But interesting to see how it all plays out, because I'm sure there'll be some girls in that squad that will be a bit devastated they've put their trade into playing 15s and they could get jumped at the last minute.
But the reality is we have to do something because the Wallaroos need a lot of work, and she certainly helps the cause, I think. Geordie?
Geordie, what is your missus making over there, mate?
I think she's just throwing pots and pans around now as we're doing this.
He's... Sorry, that's all I can hear.
Marty, come on. Bloody hell, man.
I think I think that'd be exciting. Like, I think coming from this group, like, I think it takes a lot to sort of get us sort of talking probably about the Wallaroos and sort of women's rugby in general outside of like a World Cup sort of setting. But like the fact that she's such a big name in world rugby, like in general, not even just the males, like I think at least it's going to put some more attention and draw some eyes onto that game, and hopefully sort of moving forward get a little bit more sort of like flair, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's going to be a good move. All right, boys, let's talk about the Wallabies. We haven't really caught up in a while. TC, I'll come to you. We've seen 5 tests now. I guess a few of Joe and then Les, now last 2. What have you learned? What's caught your eye? What do you think are at?
I think they've been pretty solid. Geordie, I can't deal with Marnie, mate. Oh, what's happened here? No, I can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
I just turned my mic off.
All right. No, I think they've been pretty solid across the board. Obviously, they probably weren't happy with their first couple of results. That Irish one I think would have stung. The French one, they had a great first half, and then, France ran away with it in the second half, and then they put an outstanding performance against Italy, and, their last 2 against Japan have been pretty solid, and there's been a lot of talk around people saying, oh, it's only Japan. Japan pushed the teams they played fairly well in the games of this Nations Cup Championship, whichever one it is. And they pushed teams. They had Irish up against the ropes, and I think they were a quality side. So I think it's positive signs for the Wallabies. And the big thing that stands out for me is the competition and positions at the moment. We look at Isaac Henry on the weekend. I thought he really put his hand up, and regardless if he gets that 13 job next game, I think he's put pressure on Suoli'i to start performing more. I think Hunter Paisami going into the 12 jersey also puts a lot of pressure on that midfield, and I don't think it's a conversation we've had in the last sort of 18 months. I think we've been pretty set on Len and Suoli'i being our midfield, but now that those two have sort of stepped up, I think, it puts a bit of pressure on everyone involved and forces you to perform if you want to keep your spot, and I think the same goes for sort of the front row. I thought Massimo came on and did well on the weekend. I think Taniella's playing some of his best test footy that we've probably seen in the last 3 years. Whatever happened in France has done wonders for him, and I know even in the back row, Harry Wilson's been solid. Charlie Cahill was solid on the weekend. We know what Valentini offers. Fraser McWright's putting his hand up as probably one of the best 7s in the world. You'd easily say he's top 5, possibly top 3. And then Kyle Tizano's another one that probably is very unlucky that he sits behind Fraser at times.
Yeah, got some depth. Geordie, I guess on the weekend, what caught your eye? What'd you like?
There was a few things. I think Isaac Henry was my biggest one. Like, I think I was watching it with a few people who probably don't watch as much super rugby or club rugby as the rest of us, and they asked if I thought there was a good selection and warranted, and I said honestly, this is probably a good 2 or 3 years overdue. I reckon for Isaac. He's sort of been through the ringer a little bit with injuries, but like he's always just such an athlete, and he performed really well. And it was evident, like obviously probably not Australia's toughest opponent, but you could just see him even the way he was hitting the line, he was doing everything at 100 miles an hour, and he was just like he was actually making stuff work, which I think is good. Like, do I think he's going to be like a starting centre? No. But at the same time, like if we get into a situation where we've got people inside and outside him and he needs to get chucked into a role somewhere in a moment where it's going to matter, like I think that's a pretty good... He's like, if that's his base level, like that's unreal.
Yeah, he's always been good. He's just had injuries, eh?
Yeah, like he could have done this years ago, but it just seemed like he just went from one injury to the next, and it was just like the longest period of game you could string together was like 3 or 4, and then he broke down again. So... he was my biggest standout, but yeah, I think second to that, it was just kind of much what TC. Like TC said, Tizano, I thought was awesome over the ball. I think he really put his hand up as to why he should be the guy. I think he's probably still got a little bit more work to do, and a little bit more convincing to actually get that nod of approval. But I think we're in a pretty good spot. There was people coming through that really stuck up their hand and did well. But I think on the flip side of that, the thing that caught my eye as a negative for Australia was, I'd say probably the 3 or 4 best performers for Japan were all Aussies.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue, isn't it? Yeah. Harry Hockey's going to try and
Yeah, like Hocko, Dill Riley, Corny, even the second rower, he was New Zealand born, albeit he moved to Japan when he was 14 or 15 or something. But yeah, I think the fact that some of the best touch ups that we got during that game and periods of play was by Aussies back to Aussies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wider discussion, Geordie, on that.
Yeah.
But next up, we play Argentina, and Lenny Catel's going to be back, Suoli's being back. We need to hit and stick on this back line now, I think, and work out what we're going to do. Like, what do you want to see now?
We need to start landing on combos.
Yeah. For
sure.
I think...
But I don't know what they will be. I couldn't tell you.
PC?
Look, I do agree with the pick and stick method, but at the same time, we're still 18 months, or what are we now, 12 months away from a World Cup. And I don't think there's any reason to pick and stick just yet. I think we're seeing with the All Blacks on their tour. I think we see what Rusty does with South Africa, how he sort of rotates them. I think you've got to still see these players play together. Like, we might get Isaac Henry at 12 and Leonard Cattell at 13 next game. We've seen Hunter and Suoliti now. We might get Hunter and Ikatel. I think, for example, same as the back row, we might try, we're going to give Harry Wilson a rest. He's played every game so far this year. Let's put Charlie Cahill out there with Valentini and McWright. I think you've got to start looking at, okay, what's working best? Where do we fit across the board? Because at the end of the day, winning these games, yes, it's good. It gets people watching, but at the same time, you want to win a World Cup. So you've got to start mixing and matching a little bit and slowly get into that pick and stick phase. And then ideally by the end of, I guess, the tour coming up, that you start to sort of decide what your best 15 is and go from there.
And in that chopping and changing, Tyler, do you want to see Suoli play fullback or put him on the wing and see how he goes?
I would love to see him on the wing. I don't think he's played enough 15 to be chucked there at test level yet. I would have liked to have seen him play more 15 for the Waratahs. I've always been pretty big on him playing 15. I just think him out wide, the way he sort of played in league, and with that rangy Israel Folau-like body, I think that could be his best position. But are you willing to chuck him out there in test level and he has a shocker and then everyone's off him? That's the next big question.
Yep, I agree. It's going to be interesting what they do. So Argentina's next 2 test matches over there, I think, and then New Zealand will follow after that. So it's an important period. Did you notice any difference in the way Les Kiss is trying to play the game at all?
Not really. I think the shape's very similar to what they already done in the first 3 tests. He's probably just added his own twist on things. It's hard when you're not in there. He could be someone that focuses on the breakdown a lot more. He could be someone that maybe wants them to express themselves a lot more. And I think that's the kind of coach I've seen from in the Reds. He's trying to promote a bit more entertaining footy at times. So we might see some tweaks, but I think he won't want to change too much too early. He'll probably just slowly, gradually start bringing in things that have worked for him in the past and start to push that agenda.
Last thing on the Wallabies, Geordie. Lonergan, he's our man at 9, 8 from 8, I think, on the weekend. He's going good.
Yeah, mate. He's like, from a halfback's perspective, like, he's obviously he's pretty solid, right? Like, he doesn't really have the blunders and the big blow-ups that you see from some of the other halfbacks, maybe. In saying that, like, I'm a massive advocate for him being over the top of Tate at the moment. I think his form is warranted, and I'm almost glad that they've kind of got that chip off their shoulder about sort of Tate. Like, I think if this was 2 or 3 years ago, regardless of how good anyone else was playing, they still would have picked Tate ahead. But yeah, I think, as you just said, like, his biggest asset at the moment to the Wallabies is his kicking. Like, there's not a better kicker in Australian rugby, I think, at the moment. And I think, considering we're we're starting to build into some pretty serious test windows, and then starting to look forward to next year with World Cups. Like we've seen, like forever, like kicking that's been the win or lose for World Cup teams. So if that's something that we can sort of keep a hold of, train him up and get him ready to go, so he can be the guy, and then also be like slotting him from everywhere. Like I think it's going to do nothing but good things.
Like I'd rather have the X factor and goal kicking be on point, wouldn't you,
Yeah.
Tyler?
Well, I think the issue is here. Who's your best 10?
Yeah.
Carter Gordon. And Carter Gordon's goal kicking is probably not up to test standard. He's sort of scraped by in Super Rugby, but ended up giving the reins to Jock. And I think you look at it, him and Donaldson are probably neck and neck. If Donaldson potentially, jumped Carter Gordon, then maybe, you could have Tate start because Donaldson's a pretty good goal kicker. But as long as Carter's got the keys to the team, I think you have to have Lonergan at 9 because goal kicking is crucial at that level. And we've seen teams win World Cups. You think of England 2003, solely off the boot of Johnny Wilkinson. South Africa, Andre Pollard, being able to slot it from anywhere was also huge for them. So I think that's going to have a big factor in who plays where moving forward. Because goal kicking is something that's definitely needs to be focused on.
But you're happy that Carter's the guy? Would he be your choice?
I think he is the guy. I think he opens up their attack a lot more. And I think we saw that on the weekend. He created a lot of space out wide. I think he's got the best passing game of all the 10s. I think him and Donaldson's running game is pretty on par. And, I think Donaldson might have the general play kicking over him. But I think everything with Tom Wright out there, I think it takes a lot of pressure off Carter to have to be that guy week in, week out.
I like it. Last topic, boys. New Zealand over in South Africa. It begins on Saturday, the greatest rivalry. Tyler, what have you made of the earlier touring matches so far?
I've actually loved this whole concept. Look, is it good for Argentina and Australia and whatever else? Probably not. It probably hasn't been ideal, but this whole concept of the tour and sort of the publicity that's come with it, I think, the greatest rivalry has probably been a big push of it, and I just think it's been awesome to see, old Super Rugby teams that we don't really get to watch as much anymore because they're over in the URC or playing in the Currie Cup. So, it brings eyes to that, and just I think the All Blacks being able to have a 44-man squad and rotate a lot of fresh young talent in as well. I think Josh Jacob getting a shot, he's had a pretty solid tour so far, and there's been a good chance for them to sort of get some, not necessarily continuity because they've been changing, but give guys a chance to see if they can sort of look to perform at that level, if they can put the black jersey on and, I guess, grow in confidence and grow that depth we've probably haven't had like we used to the last couple of years. But no, it's been pretty good. I think it's a great opportunity to play a different style of rugby too. South Africa, they're big, they're physical, they're solid defensively, and they've put a lot of pressure on us. These, I want to call them Super Rugby sides. I don't know what to call them anymore. Club sides. There we go. They've put a lot of pressure on us, these club sides, and I think it's been good learnings, and I hope we take some of these learnings into the first test. But I think the big one for me was seeing that near top side against the Sharks, I think it was, and we come away with a 54-0 win. I think that was a big game for us, because I think it showed sort of where we were looking moving forward.
How powerful was the Martinonu moment, the hucker back? That was unreal.
Unreal, man. Thought I was a child again. But credit to him. I don't know how you're playing 12 at 44. Like it's.
How he's doing anything at 44.
Look, I've seen tight 5 players do it. You think your Brad Thorns, your Petrus Duplessis. But you see a lot of that sort of Radiki Sama. Those guys can carry on and play because they're not needed for high speed movements. But Nonu's just been keeping the high speed, keeping the impacts, and to be playing at a level that he's played at for the last almost 20 plus years is simply
years.
Amazing. 24 years, almost quarter of a century. It's simply amazing what he's doing.
He's a man. Test 1 this week. Tyler, what are you expecting selection-wise?
Mate, I tell you what, this is probably one of the hardest selections I've had to think of. I think they'll go big. Wouldn't be surprised if they go a 6-2 split. The hardest position for me, or positions, I think the back row. I think a lot of guys have stepped up there. I think Peter Lakai has been great on this tour and the test matches. Obviously, Artie comes back into the fray. Luke Jacobson, there was a lot of doubters, but I think he's been exceptional. Only All Black with the perfect winning record at the moment as captain. Who else is there? Anton Segner's been great. Wallace Satidi, we know what he can do, and he looks like he's bounced back after having a pretty down game a few weeks ago. Then you look at the back three, in particular the wings. Will Jordan will be back on board. Damien McKenzie. Leroy Carter's been great. Josh Morby's been awesome. What's the other Hurricanes wing? Fairhair also been outstanding, and it sucked losing Caleb Clark, but it's just showing the depth in those positions we have at the moment, because I think any of them could start and do a job.
What's the plan of Richie Mwanga, you reckon? How do they bring him in?
I don't think he plays this week. I think he'll play against it's not the Cats anymore, it's the Lions, isn't it? He'll play against the Lions next week. Cheetahs, whoever they're playing next week. I think he'll start in that game. And if he performs, I think he may be in one of the test matches later on. The thing is, there's 4 tests. And I think, regardless of how it goes, I think you'll see both teams look to give other players goes in these test matches. I don't think any team's wanting to go 4-0. Well, they obviously want to go 4-0, sorry, but I don't think they're do or die on that. I think they'll want to blood players and, start to look at their best 15s as well. But this week, I think will be the first 2. They'll go all in and try to come away with a result.
Well, let's get our series predictions. Obviously, the 4 games. Geordie, what's your prediction for the overall after 4?
Go 3-1.
2.
New Zealand.
Okay. TC?
He's back at us. Yeah, look, I'm 3-1 New Zealand.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of thinking with my heart here. But I just think there's been so much pressure and so much talk about the greatest rugby nation that I hope the pride shines through. But it's going to be a tough ask. To win 2 in South Africa and then maybe the 1 that's on neutral ground, I think is what they're looking at. Is that where they went in the end? I don't know where they chose in the end, but
yeah, Baltimore, home of the Ravens.
There you go. I think New Zealand will come away with the 1 in the US, but what I'm hoping is they're 2-1 up going there. I think we win the first and third test.
It's kind of weird to play the 4 games. What if it ends up 2-2? The greatest rivalry draw.
Golden point.
Mate, I think both teams are more focused on winning a World Cup next year.
Whoever scored the first try in the first game wins the whole thing.
Wins the whole thing.
I reckon just paper, scissors, rock.
Yeah.
That'll do it. On US soil. How good. Who wins game 1, boys, this weekend?
Did I just say the All Blacks win 1? And I'm backing it again.
Yeah, All Blacks, I reckon. I just think they've had like a better probably run up in terms of game and tactics. Like, yes, there's going to be chops and changes, but I think boys, like, their mindset is probably going to be a little bit more on, right, we've already had a few games of sort of not super seriousness, and now this is the pointy end.
Tough ass. Ellis Park.
Yeah, that's
tough. Is it Loftus?
Yeah.
Is it Ellis Park?
Yeah, it's one of the, yeah, maybe it is, yeah. Because I know the Cape Town's number 2.
I don't know.
Win this week. It's tough to win down there.
Look, I think the All Blacks are going to name one of their biggest squads they've named in the past 5 years in terms of size of humans. I expect Tupou Vai playing 6. I think you're looking at Paddy Toops and Fabian Holland in the row. I think they'll go with their big boys up front, probably Lomax. Look, I want them to start him more, but I think they'll go with Cody Taylor and bring him more off the bench. And then I think you see, actually no, they'll start Fletcher Newell with Lomax off the bench. Who's the one they've been playing? I'm lost now. I'm forgetting someone. But I expect them to have a massive side going into this week.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go 2-2, boys. I reckon it's going to be South Africa winning
Cop
Joburg, South Africa winning. New Zealand winning Cape Town, and then New Zealand wins the the American one. I reckon. But we'll see.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
So exciting.
Games.
It's actually on time, so I think it's 11:30 too. So it's not like disgusting.
It's not too bad. I think it's 1 this week.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because normally it's fucking like terrible. 2 a.m.
Yeah, I think I got up and watched. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say got up. I got home and watched the 3 a.m. one on the weekend.
It's to get home. Perfect. TC special.
Timed it, mate. Timed it. Nah, I was at a Bucks party, boys. I was actually cruising along, and then I was like, "Oh, I got the All Blacks on. I'm out of here."
It's way worse.
No, I was sober, mate. Changed man.
I don't know about that. We'll keep it short and sweet tonight. Just first of all, virtual one. Anything else you want to add before you sign off?
Ban the sternum law. Actually, watching the West East. You know what? There's one thing about the West East game I didn't bring up. When you bring back Super Rugby refs, how differently they ref the tackle. Because they haven't ref the sternum law before, and I've found it before when we've had them in our games. But watching their game on the weekend, there was a lot of sternum tackles that weren't pulled up.
Yeah, you're spot on. Anyway, well, it's good to see you both, boys.
I've called us seeing each other
in person at some time, as long as it's not in the middle of the night like it is right now.
Okay, you two. It's 8:50. Come on.
Yeah, mate. Look, mate, I'm going to be at work in less than 12 hours. You're going to be sleeping in, mate.
No,
Go up to Blackboard, get a little coffee or cold foam, some coconut
you guys
cold
do know me
foam.
pretty well, don't you? Yeah.
Mate, you're going to go... What's that gym you go to? He's going to go to the yard and take a story and then leave straight away.
Yeah.
Not even complete the session.
Someone's got to work nights, boys. It's tough out here, man. I'm just grinding for people. Anyway,
It's ridiculous.
that's us. I love you both, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy your footy. Bye-bye.
Love you, boys.